Hey, welcome back to the Bad Pancakes podcast. This is Jill coming to you not from the Vibe Lounge. I'm actually in my office at home of the frat house. I'm stopping by to say hi first because this episode that you're about to listen to or watch is a little bit different than what you might be used to from us here at the Bad Pancakes podcast. The conversation you're about to hear is what resulted when Rachel and I opened up an invitation to the Vibe Lounge in a whole different way. We invited some friends to join us. The women who were part of the Women's Empowerment Summit with us back in February came together to have a conversation, first to reflect on our experience, but ended up developing into an honest dialogue about what happens when you inadvertently commit to growth together over time. This episode is part one of that conversation. We ended up talking so much and going so deep that we had to split the conversation into two different podcast episodes because there was no way that I was cutting any of it. In the first part, episode 4.1, you're going to hear us dive into what the past 6 months have really looked like for each of us, both personally and collectively. We talk about embracing change, choosing action even when it's uncomfortable, finding joy in the messy middle of real life, and what it actually takes to build confidence and self-awareness, not just across different seasons of life, but even across generations. There's a lot in here about community too, what it means to feel supported, to show up authentically, and to let yourself be seen while you're still figuring it all out. Honestly, this one feels really special. It's not just Rachel and I talking, which is always great, but it's a reflection of what we're trying to do with the Human Development Collective. Bring people together with intention and get us all ready for something more, to connect, to grow, and to be with one another. So whether you're in a car, on your walk, or in your own basement of the frat house, I'm really glad you're here.
Great. I'm excited to be here. Like we are, if anyone, whoever's watching, you can probably see all 5 videos, and we've just all acknowledged that it looks like we're in different places, but we're not. We're all in one room, and I've got my Golden Girls puzzle, and so
I've got the birthday lights.
Yes, and happy early birthday to Jill. 40 tomorrow. How are you feeling?
Tomorrow.
I'm feeling like it's not my birthday yet because like we're doing this and I have a lot of stuff going on today. So it hasn't like sunk in yet that this is the last day of being 39.
Ooh, 40 will be wonderful. It'll be great.
Everybody keeps telling me that 40 is great. So I'm excited.
It is. Well, happy birthday.
Am I the youngest in this room? Am I really? Oh. Damn it.
Actually, that means that hey, you'll be okay. 40 really is, it's validated.
Yeah,
we're all there. And,
I just always feel like little sister vibes, like womp womp womp. Still the little one. Anyways, we're all in the Vibe Lounge together because we have been kind of like the core group that has gone through a journey in the past, however many months. How many months has it been?
Well, 6 months.
That's it? It's only 6 months? Oh, it feels like 3 years. It
a lot
feels
can happen in 6 months.
a lot can happen. Today on this podcast episode, we're gonna kind of talk about the experience of being at the summit and doing all that work itself, but the journey that we all experienced in the past 6 months, partially because I'm going to speak for Rachel, but she can tell me if I'm wrong. But I feel like a lot of what happened this year, the alchemy of this group, is what opened the door for us to start the Human Development Collective and is what opened the door for us to start this podcast. Just the energy of being in community, working on a same project, but approaching it with our own expertise and our own whole selves has really just been eye-opening and has like scratched that itch of like, there's so much more that we could be doing. And so it's been a catalyst for us to do what Rachel and I are doing. And I think I'm curious to hear if it's been a catalyst for you guys in any other way in your life. And we'll get into the nitty gritty because that's what we do. What's a snapshot of your life look like,
right now.
Sure.
I'm like, cool.
Cool. That's me. That's you. I'm Nicole, and I'm a mom. I have a freshman in high school and a college student, and I work for a university. So I live and breathe education all around. And my world looks a lot like you would expect for education. A lot of reading, a lot of planning. So getting into nitty gritty of research. So that's my daily.
I'm Jessica, and I have four girls. So my oldest is a junior. My next one's in eighth grade. And then I got a sixth grader and a fourth grader. And then I'm newly divorced. So I am kind of like a single mom now, and I work from home and I'm a commercial loan broker. So what that means is I help businesses get loans for their hotels or their retail centers or just for their business. So it's a lot of phone work, a lot of negotiation. It's a high stress job, but it's fun. But yeah, it's great. Just a new chapter in my life.
I would never equate high stress to fun. I think you're one of the few people that can pull it off.
I get bored, so I like the challenge and the constant change.
I'm Jamie, and I too am a mom. I have almost 11-year-old twins. They will be 11 next week. So identical boys. They're excited. Yeah. So I am a former police officer and left the job after having the boys. So I have spent, almost the last 11 years trying to figure out where I fit and where I belong in the world. And this journey has been quite incredible because I'm finally finding my place for me and for them and in my community world. So thank you.
I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that I necessarily need to go into a big introduction, but where I'm at right now is trying to figure out spaces where I can have an impact and make a difference. And so I'm kind of professionally in this transition period where I'm closing up shop in kind of the corporate America world and reconnecting back into the community. And so yeah, I'm so grateful to be around this table with you all. Like, you guys kind of represent what I'm trying to do, and this is like the slice of life that I'm really engaged with right now. So and I'm Rachel.
I'm Jill. This is kind of like it's hard for me to what's a snapshot of me? It doesn't matter. I don't have to get philosophical. I have two sons. I live in a frat house with my boyfriend and his two teenage sons, and it's very fun. And I work in marketing for downtowns right now, but I have done a ton of things in my life. I'm very entrepreneurial. A word I can kind of say and not really spell still, 40 years later.
Amazing. Welcome, my friends. One of the things that you guys have been involved with HTC is the Women's Empowerment Summit, and we just finished that up in February, and so we're figuring out what those next steps look like. We have the virtual cohort, which is an extension of that experience, and we're hopeful. We're planning to start that in a couple of weeks, so we've got some exciting stuff to figure out around that. But then the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and then also with our listeners, is Jill and I are planning a Mother's Day themed storytellers event. So we just had a conversation with Riddell Rosen, the executive director at Ensemble Artisan Village, and he's partnering with us, and so we're in the early stages, and that is something that we are opening to everybody. So one of the things that we understand that the Women's Empowerment Summit has done is it's really allowed us to step into the space with other women and hear their stories. But the Human Development Collective obviously recognizes that it goes far beyond just women, and men are out there and they have stories to tell, and we have all sorts of different people who just have experience that we could learn from. So that's kind of that next step that we're looking at, and we're really excited about developing and such. And so yeah, but we're just continuing to try to chart a path where we are creating moments of connection and opportunities for people to step into. And all of that was possible, and it kind of has given us the framework with which to bring these types of things because of the experience that we've had with the summit and with the group and the projects that we've been able to partner with. So in one sentence, I would love to know, what are you most passionate about right now in your work or in your personal life? I don't want to put a label on it, but what's something right now in your life that you're feeling really passionate about? Jamie?
One sentence. Making sure people know that they have a place.
Love that.
Jessica? Mine's actually really focused on women and children right now. Just their empowerment. I really feel like women's voices need to be heard more. And that this is not a sentence. I'm sorry. I just realized that. No, but I'm just so passionate about it. I feel like we're kind of on a new era right now where women are really getting their voices and kind of connecting stories and realizing the power they really have that we've actually kind of kept down over the years. And I think it's time for us to have our voices heard.
Thank you. Nicole?
I'm really passionate about making education for everyone. And I feel like I need a little explanation there too.
Yeah.
Education is power, and education is so important. And it's something that not everyone has had access to or hasn't had the capacity to engage in. And there are so many barriers there that we have to work to overcome. So that's what a lot of my world is revolving around right now, is making that really accessible for absolutely everybody and not leaving anyone out in the cold.
Jill?
I think the thing I'm most passionate about right now is
Cultivating joy.
I can stop there.
I know, but I don't want you to.
So I spent my 30s cultivating belonging because I needed it to survive. And now that I did that, and not that I mastered it, it's still a work in practice, but now I'm in this ecosystem that I'm starting to thrive. And so leaning into the things that do really light me up and are like, those glimmers of life where you're like, oh, hell yeah, this is really what I want to be doing. You're like, I'm so happy I spent my time here. I'm really trying to bring that more into my life, and not in a passive way, like to actively make space for joyful opportunity, time, and connection.
Love that.
Me too.
Figure out.
Well,
I'd like the blueprint,
I don't know
please.
that I will have a blueprint. I just know that you guys will probably be invited.
Good. I
mean, this right here is part and parcel of that, is that I knew for a long time. I remember one of our planning sessions for the summit, and I'm pointing to Rachel and I'm pointing to Nicole, that I said to them at that table, I said, I'd really love to start a podcast. I've been thinking about having a podcast for a long time. And we're up and running, and now we're doing our first group podcast. It's been really eye-opening for me that it wasn't just like a curiosity just because it was something new and fresh. I have really fallen in love with this whole process. And it's been really wonderful to learn and grow in the skills and just exploring with it. Like don't feel like I've had something like that in my life. So it's fun to just have this aspect and to do it with people that are really lovely.
It's so fun. We're super excited. I think, one of the things that I'm really passionate about, that I'm always passionate about a lot of things, but I think the one thing that I'm really diving into right now is emotionally regulating my nervous system for the first time in my life. I'm very, very passionate about that. It's time.
I love the deep breath that you took, and then to get that whole phrase out.
Yeah, because it feels as heavy as it sounds, and that's been one of the experiences I think that I have learned. Like, experiencing all of these moments that we've been able to experience together over the last 6 months, there have been so many moments where it's just like, okay, well, what next? Like, okay, well, what are we going to do here? And it's turned into me kind of, and it piggybacks on cultivating joy. It helped me see that sometimes I can be so focused on the outcome that I actually blast through everything as fast as I can to get to the outcome. And I started realizing that there were a lot of emotions I was missing in that journey. There were a lot of moments that I could have just kind of allowed myself to take a break and say, wow, like, let's just appreciate everything that's happening right now. And I started to use that to look back on kind of how I've shown up in a lot of different ways. And I'm like, wow, that is me through and through. It is balls to the wall as fast as I can get. When I see the finish line, I just want to get there. And so when I started to recognize that behavior, I'm like, okay, I think I can do this a little differently, a little with a little more intention. And so that's where my passion is like allowing myself to let those moments come and sit with me for a while.
Yeah. I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people just go right to the goal and it takes a long time to learn to enjoy the process.
Why do you think we do that?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think maybe it's from childhood. We've always been like, complete the task, do this, do this. And then there's a satisfaction with completing the task. But sometimes I don't think we appreciate the process, because sometimes you don't get to the task or the journey is crazy,
Right.
So it's hard to slow down and like just enjoy it.
Right.
I think society really conditions us to value the output.
Yeah.
And I don't think that enough value is placed on that process because it's what's the last thing you did? What's the accomplishment? What's the thing? We want something that's measurable. And I think most of us could probably do with taking a little bit slower approach and allowing ourselves some time to just be in the moment, be mindful about it, be intentional, and not get too hung up about where we're going because we can't actually predict that.
Right. And I think, it was interesting to me because I think I've come to a point in my life where I've learned or I'm learning that the point of all of it is the journey. It is the learning. It is the process. It's what you're experiencing as you're trying to approach that line or that finish line or that outcome. Like it really isn't about what that final output looks like. But yes, to your point, the that is what we're conditioned to gauge our success on is whatever is delivered. And so yeah, it is interesting because it's like one of the things that I did not realize is like I was not allowing space for the fact that even in our older age, we can still continue to learn, we can still develop, we can still challenge ourselves and learn in different ways and such. And so when I started to realize that, oh yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to stop learning. And so let's just embrace that and allowed, thank you, Nicole. Um, and allowed myself to kind of slow down and just be like, okay, what is this moment teaching me? What else can I apply this learning for that? And when I flipped that script in my mind, it was just like, oh, let's slow down a little bit. And it takes practice. I am not great at it yet, but that's something that I'm really interested in exploring in myself.
I think I'm feeling different about what you guys are finding in common. And I have a feeling that it has to do with growing up dancing. I started dancing when I was 2 and started competing when I was 5. And I can go back in my life with that journey in particular and see moments where I should have celebrated like the ending, but just didn't. It was already a wash in the process of getting there and experiencing those highs and the lows. So it just kind of like it all was, like baby went out with the bathwater. Like I didn't really, it never really settled in that I was young and successful in doing well in that realm because I was doing something that I really, really loved and really, really enjoyed and found so much value in my life with these people that I adored the absolute shit out of. Like they were my family. And there were, like within that whole ecosystem, there were politics, of course, and that whatever. But when we would get to like these big moments where we're like at competitions and we're winning these big awards, it was never about, for me in my mind, thinking about us achieving something above other people or like having that accomplishment. It was about like we all did our best in this moment and celebrating that. And I think that is something that, like, looking at my adult life and how I love working with young people for that reason is to work on processes with them. So, like, it's never really been about, winning a pageant. It's been about what does this process teach you to move forward in your life? Teaching kids how to dance. It's not really about, kids that are going to become professionals and making this puppy mill of talent, like that's fun and everything, but what does dance bring to their actual life and how can we build community in the process? But I do think that's been part of the reason why I have struggled to operate within like a traditional 9 to 5 corporate world, is that I've never been results driven. I don't understand what that even means, like in position. I'm like, what does that mean? What are the results you're looking for? Like, I'm contributing and we're working together, but like continuous improvement is a never ending thing. So, like, what do you want?
Well, we can talk about evaluation.
I know. There you go. But it's but I think that's why I've railed so much against like working in corporations, and right now I work in the public service sector, and it's hard for me to wrap my brain around sometimes of like what are you asking of me? I can't just show up and be the human that I am and contribute what I want to today. Oh, you want this document by Friday? No. The system does not compute that way. And I've been lucky to be self-employed for the most part and do things that I'm passionate about. And this is kind of like the past 5 to 7 years has been the first time where I've been more having to be more structured because I've worked for public service entities. It's just a little different. A little different.
Yeah, it is a little
Mhm.
different. So I wanted to take a pulse check with kind of where you all were sitting today, because what I want to do is now I want to take us back to last year. Okay. And I'm curious if you don't mind talking a little bit about, and I'm not sure if you can tap into this, so just interpret this question as you will and answer however you wish. But I'm curious where you were when you were invited and asked to join the Women's Empowerment Summit. And I know, or excuse me, not the summit, but the chamber event. And I know, Jessica, you were on the panel for that event, but you were part of that event and such. And so, anyways, what I'm trying to do is like I'm trying to put a pin in where we are today. And now I'd love to take a moment to put a pin in where you were then. So, Jamie, can I start with you?
Yes. So I wanted to know why. I was excited, but I also was really curious as to why. Um, and I'm new up here. I've only been in Grayling for like the last 2.5 years. You guys found me on LinkedIn, which is really interesting how this whole thing kind of went down. Is I worked for a school safety firm and we did a conference last year and we needed to produce a LinkedIn so that we could make tags and share our information. So somehow you found me here. How, as it turned out, I knew all of you in different ways, but you know my background. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, sometimes I still wonder why.
I don't.
Thank you.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shocked. I was excited. I'm just I'm sure we'll get around to the fact of what we've learned since then,
Mhm.
but I'm grateful that you guys found me and that you felt that my information was necessary. So, and I'm glad that we did that because I actually do have a lot to share.
You do. It's funny because when I think back to that moment in time, so you're here because you put yourself out there, right? So you made a big effort, and you shared this with us that when you came to this community, you attended. I think it was the first women's empowerment brunch, and Jill was moderating and such, and you started to reach out and make those connections with those women, and you started those relationships then, and so it was always a natural progression that you entered yourself. You said, hey, I'm here and I have something to say, and so when the moment comes, you'll be invited in. And when you see a space that you want to be a part of, sometimes it's uncomfortable and you get intimidated and stuff, but there was such a you were just, I want to be a part of this. I want to know people. I want to make friends. I want to be a part of this community. And just the way that you put yourself out there so unassuming and just, I'm here. That was just, I don't know. There was something about your energy that I'm like, I can't wait to get to know her better.
Did you know that when I moved to town my second day, I went door to door downtown and introduced myself?
Really?
I did. I went door to door downtown. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Jamie Medler. I'm new to town. Who do I need to meet? Where do I need to go? What do I need to see?" And yeah,
That's amazing. What did you learn through that process? Like what do you remember what people were saying to you?
well, my sisters laughed at me. Of course, they were like, "Of course you did that." I'm like, "Well, it was a hard move up here for me, and I needed to make this my new hometown." So I went into this with the idea that I was going to make this my own Hallmark movie. So I was going to live a joyful retirement life up here, and I wanted to make a positive impact because of it. I mean, the kids were new and they were nervous, and I didn't fit anywhere when I moved here. I knew nobody except for my in-laws, and that was it. Like, I knew nothing about the school. I didn't know how to drive around. Like, leaving school the first day, I got caught up in that like three-way stopover by oh yeah, and people were like yelling at me, and I was like freaking out high. I was like, this is terrible because I'm usually in control of all of my situations, and it was scary. So I went home and cried about it, and got up the next day and got ready and went door to door downtown because I was going to make this a different situation. Due to that, I saw the note on the window of the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to this.
Yeah.
That's how I got there.
You're so bold. Like, I love that about you. Like, you're so emboldened to take action on things. Not everybody has that. And I just want to share that with you. Like, that's something I always take from you, that you're just like, yeah, I just did it. That's what we're doing.
Pretty much what I do. Yeah. It's
Amazing.
caused me some troubles in my life, but
Well, I would imagine though that it served you in more ways than it's caused you trouble. I appreciate the idea of action, and just kind of like sometimes you do just have to do it. So
yeah, and I kind of wanted to go back really quick if I can, and how we were talking about the world being results based. And I had, I guess, different experiences with that. My upbringing was, it was different than some people, but, like, I was a micro preemie, and my mom was ill most of my life. And so moments were cherished and things were like done right. And then getting into law enforcement, I saw terrible things. I've seen terrible things. I've been involved in terrible things. And so it always made the good things even better. And then it was, learning to take the time to enjoy the good things. I took a very long time to get where I was going. It took 7 years to get my degree. I worked nights and weekends while I was doing that. I got involved in all the things I could so I could, test out little things to see what I liked and what worked better for me. So things, I mean, I kind of took my time. And then I kind of feel like I did that with other things too. So I guess I did enjoy my process the whole time. And I think that was also helped all of the transition I had, like leaving law enforcement and staying home with the kids, and then trying to figure out what my new career path was going to be and how I was going to, serve my community without doing it in the law enforcement capacity. So, I mean, it's a very different perspective. I was never told I had to do anything right then and there. There was some things I rushed, and I think that the things that I rushed turned out bad.
usually that's the outcome. When you rush too quickly through
Found that
things.
out. Yeah.
You know, I am curious. So I'm tapping into Jill's cultivating joy. When your law enforcement career started to show you some of the ugliness and some of the things, did that did that change your approach in any way to how you savored those moments in your own personal life? Did it make it harder? Did it not have any impact? I've always been curious about how you see the horrors that I would imagine that type of career makes you see, and how you can navigate that and not let it kind of poison every moment of your own personal existence.
I mean, it really can.
I'm sure. Yeah.
There's an awful lot of sarcasm, and there's a lot of, dark humor that was the initial thing. And I think a lot of people still continue to do that. It's understanding that when we are dealing with people, that they are having the worst situation of their life, and that maybe they're not acting the way that they normally would. It's what they're going through at the moment. And then it's really just kind of brushing it off and moving on to the next one. I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
There sometimes wasn't enough time for any kind of decompression. There was no debrief or, taking 20 minutes to bring yourself down or regulate. We didn't know what those words were then. So I think I had amazing trainers and great people to work with that, you know, that made it all better. If there wasn't support and there wasn't anyone to lean on, I don't think that any of us would have made it. But anyway, so just it goes into, savoring all the good things. I personally have seen really bad and gross situations. And so I personally refuse to live that way. So I have a thing about how my house is clean and my bed is made and everything is in order when I leave because I still have the idea in the back of my head that something happened to me and I won't make it home and somebody's going to have to come into my house and deal with my things. And that really worries me because even though I'm no longer a police officer, like I still have that mindset that my house, my actual literal and proverbial house has to be in order because that's the only thing I can control because the whole world I can't. So
What does it look like in Jamie's world when you can't control that?
wow, that's a hard one. It's chaotic. It makes me question my confidence in all of my life choices, really. And I do not like sitting there. I don't like sitting there at all. So I do everything I can to get back into that spot where, I am making the right choices in the moment, but also making the right choices for, future Jamie. So that it keeps me grounded.
Thank you for sharing that. I can't remember where I heard it, but it reminded me of the 80-year-old, imagine your 80-year-old self. And somebody said something about every decision I make, I ask myself, what would my 85-year-old self want me to do? And that's like even not just physical, like that's, part of the physical thing too. But as far as like even risk and kind of considering how you're going to expend your energy and what choices you're going to make, and because sometimes there are so many different things that we can wrap ourselves up in and get fearful, and then we think, oh, if you can take a minute to just think about that future version of yourself, what does she want you to do? And sometimes I've found that that has really helped me be far more brave and take a little more risk. And not that that's what the point
No,
was, but
I mean, in everything, I mean, there is a 1% chance in your life that it's going to be your pull and shoot situation. Yeah. So everything that you have in front of you, you have a minute to take a pause. You can take a breath, take a step back, reevaluate, and decide what you're going to do from there. It's that 1%, that 1% of the time. Um, and say as police officers, we're trained for that moment. Um, and people in general life, a lot of people are never going to have to be in that situation where they're going to have that 1%. So nothing needs to be rushed. Everything can take a pause. So maybe that would be my suggestion. But yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time when I was a new little police officer, I would like have my niece on my shoulder. Like if she were here because she was 5, would she be proud of me?
oh wow.
So that was always something that I thought about. Like, and that this is a time social media was just kind of starting up. We're talking like 2003, 2004. So I would think about what would Bella think of me if she saw me in this action? Like if I'm talking to somebody rudely, would she be proud of me or not? And I carried that with me until I had my own kids, and now, oh my gosh, looking at little mirrors, like, yeah, even the things that I don't think they hear,
No,
and
they
then they
sure, no, they
repeat.
sure do. Yes, they sure do. Very cool. Jessica, tell us about what you were doing last August, September-ish.
Yeah, so I had just gotten divorced in July.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so everything was pretty fresh.
Yeah.
But I was really excited to go. I had gone to the previous 2 women's empowerment things, and this one was great because I felt like rejuvenated. September, I always feel like it's like a new start. So I was just really excited, and I just didn't really know where my life was going and everything at that time. So I was just kind of optimistic and excited. I liked it. And was it February that last minute you guys asked me to be on the panel for?
Yeah.
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 And
I forgot.
Yeah.
Hold on. Originally, we had invited you like to contribute thoughts and ideas behind the scenes
Yeah.
because I think your openness and enthusiasm to sponge up anything that you could. I know for me, that was like, okay, somebody who wants to be here, we want them at the table too. And so it wasn't a cold call and being like, hey,
Yeah.
lady who
Yeah.
does finance, we need a finance. No, it was like this, similar to how Jamie, like, putting yourself in the space and opening yourself for the opportunity, like, it was the perfect time to plug in, and so you were helping us behind the scenes with not just, planning and getting some of that it was a big lift and getting a lot of those, like, details buttoned up, but also contributing thoughts and feedback and I think a lot of the times your feedback would come through the lens of what your daughters were gonna take away from it, and that, like, spoke volumes about how you're looking at what you're doing with yourself.
Right. Yeah. And I was actually really excited to be invited to talk about everything. When I was at the breakfast, I wanted to be up there with you guys. I just really liked the conversation, what everyone was talking about. I really related. I just felt a strong urge to be a part of it. So I was really excited to be invited to the panel discussion. And I didn't know, I was actually kind of that day, I had all my daughters, and it's hard for me to leave when I have them. And they actually all encouraged me and said, no, go do it.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'll do it because I want to, be the best version of myself for them. And then when I got there, I just felt the passion about everything. I got really excited about it. And I was really excited when you asked me in February to do it, even though at that point, I mean, I was not feeling the greatest about myself. I felt really like low confidence and stuff, but Rachel really pushed me to go outside my comfort, and I was really thankful for that because it is what I wanted to do. So I was really thankful. That's why I love this group. It's just everyone just pushes you to be better, and that's what.
I don't think there was ever any question that you wouldn't be amazing for the rest of us. We knew you were going to be great at that. We knew you had something to say and we're going to be fantastic in that role.
No, thank you. Yeah, I just at that time I felt so insecure, and I knew in the past I could have done it no problem, but just with my whole world kind of imploding and just trying to figure out who I am, I just kind of didn't have the confidence to do it. So you guys really helped me feel like, okay, I can do this. So I'm really glad I did.
Dude, you killed it. You really did. You were excellent. Yeah.
You fucking crushed it, man.
Yeah.
I loved the Q&A part where everyone was asking questions and stuff. And that's why I was asking why I wanted to hear the feedback, because I was thinking for the future, okay, like what would we tweak on how we want to do it? Because I really, like, that's my passion, is I really want women to be able to like feel safe enough to look at their numbers and see where they're at in life and not feel overwhelmed by opening up that bank statement or opening up those bills, and just feel like they can have a plan and they can be in control of a situation that a lot of us, it's scary. So we don't even want to look at it.
It's emotion. It can be emotional.
100%. Money is emotion. 100%.
And trauma.
Yeah, a lot of trauma, and it's just it has so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't feel like that wisdom's been passed down to us because our mothers didn't have that option.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And I told you that day, but my 15-year-old was there and she really liked the finance session, which is impressive.
That is impressive.
To really enjoy a finance session.
That's great. Yeah, my daughter was like, I didn't. And I was like, well, that's because I like drill this stuff in you guys and you don't even know. But she really liked yours. She liked Jamie's. She loved yours, Jill, with belonging. I think that really spoke to her, just because she doesn't feel like the average teenage girl. So it was very eye-opening for her. In the stories, she really was surprised about the stories. And what I'm hoping is, as she grows and she has her own challenges in life, it's going to kind of be in the back of her head that like, oh yeah, all those successful women were struggling, but they still made it. And that's part of the process. And I don't think I knew that when I was younger.
Yeah. And Isabel is not an average teenage girl. She was born light years beyond. Like, there's times that, I can look at Isabel and I know that she understands better what's happening around us than what I have comprehension for. And she's just this like gentle force that moves through things. So Isabel, if you're listening, which you should be, like, keep on keeping on, because same exactly what you're saying, like looking around and being like, when I was young, I didn't know what the hell I was doing and thought how I did things was how everybody did things.
Right.
And then when there was like gaps in that situation where I was like, oh, you don't do this, or when people are like, oh, you're gonna do it that way, and it feels so personal, but like wanting to create spaces for young people like Isabel, like Zoella, to understand that they have such power in capability to command what happens in their life. And like, I don't feel like I had that. So that's something that I really like. You guys can do this. You should do this. Go do it, kind of thing.
And she's incredibly bold. Ever since she was little, she's just gonna do it. She's a lot like Jamie, where she doesn't care what anyone thinks. She's gonna do it. Yeah, very. I mean, all my girls kind of have that, where they're just they're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're very strong, and I'm really proud of them. They're really cool.
I'm really energized by the generation of young women that are coming up, because I do think, obviously, with every generation that comes up, we have our own struggles, and we try to take what the previous generation has brought us to and carry it forward for, the next generation of women. But what I see coming out of a lot of these young women is a sense of equality in a way that's been ingrained in a really intentional way. And I don't think we're there all the way, but I'm seeing them more emboldened than I ever felt at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old to stand up and say, nah, nope, not doing that.
Awareness is what I catch.
It's
I'll never
incredible.
forget the first year that I was helping at the High School of Musical Theater. I'm used to being a dance teacher, so I would, if I want children to stand in a certain spot, I put my hands on their shoulders and I move them. And one of the kids, I came up to them and they were like, please don't touch me. And like, to have a child say that to me, I was like, oh, I've never even thought that somebody didn't like that. And it switched a flip in my head. And so now I always ask for consent. And I see it all the time. And even feedback on like movement that they do that I have choreographed for them, they'll be like, I don't feel like doing that. I think that might be inappropriate. Like, I've had kids flat out say that to me. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do something else then. Holy shit. I would have never said that as a kid.
Never.
Choice to say no, thank you, that's uncomfortable. We were just in the system and going along. So they have this wonderful awareness that there is that system, and they're like, oh no, I'm going to opt out of that. And I think that's really a lot of progress that we've made. Again, we're not there yet, but at least they're able to start to advocate for themselves. I'm excited to see what the generation after is going to do.
Agreed. There's a lot of deconstruction, I think, that our generation, what we're doing for our kids, and kind of dismantling systems that we thought, we had to follow and such. And that's part of, this whole experience has been important to me in the way that I I learned this way later in life than I wish I would have, And so the ability to be able to have these conversations, and the ability to be able to have 5 women around a table and all say, yes, that's what we experienced, just validates that all the more, that it's like more and more and more, we are here to make sure that they understand that they have those choices, that they have a voice. And I think as we continue to bring that message into their ecosystem through any avenue possible, it continues to reinforce and actually just cement it in that foundation. And that's where that next generation, to your point, is they'll have that wisdom to build on. And wow, that could be really, really quite powerful.
Exciting,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
So Nicole, let's hear from you. Where were you at last August, September?
I was working a lot, which is not unusual for me.
Yeah.
I remember getting the email asking me to participate, and my initial was, "Oh yeah, conference, okay, this, and it took me a second. Oh wait, this is not my typical conference. This is not my typical request. And knowing it came from you, Rachel, it was like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know what she wants me to do yet, but okay. I do a lot of conference kind of talks. I do a lot of lectures. I do a lot of classes. But this is a little bit different. This is, I do a lot of community work, but this was not tied to specific funding or specific research. So it was, okay, we have a little bit more freedom here. What do we want to do?
Did you have any like emotional aspect to it? Like, were you in such a like nose down getting stuff done? Was there an emotional part? Yeah, of like us, because I know as your adopted extrovert that you're wildly introverted. What, like, navigating that to be like, oh, this isn't in this nice box that I've been sitting in. Did it cause any fear, anxiety, or were you just excited? What was that part of the experience like?
So that part was initially there was initially it was I'm working, I'm doing it's conferencey kind of things. And then when it occurred to me that it wasn't the typical, it was more curiosity, like, oh, this is not a space I've been in, and these are people who I haven't worked with professionally. I know you, I know Rachel, but it was, oh, well, this is different. This is a different me I get to explore a little bit. I'm used to being Dr. Nicole. And I still get to use that in this space, but it's a little less rigid and it's, well, how does that fit? So it was a new thing to try on.
Well, I think you're right. So, like, what I think is really lovely about this summit and what we've done is to take the individual and their expertise and make sure that it's baked in with who you are as a comprehensive person. Like, women are not, we are not one note. We are very complex beings. And I think the way that the summit organically got put together and has come to be what it is, that it allows for us to show up in our full selves. And like that part of the process is just as important as putting on summits. Part of the reason why we're here to talk today.